Hi guys, today we are going to learn different option strategies like cash secured puts, covered calls, and vertical spreads. For today's lesson, the content will be split into two sections. In the first section, we will learn about strategies where you use stocks with options. In the second section, we will cover pure option strategies. Before we start, I want to do a quick recap on what is a call and what is a put. A call option gives you the right to buy 100 shares at a certain price, and a put gives you the right to sell 100 shares at a certain price. If you're unsure about their meanings, please do review the earlier lessons on calls and puts. Stocks and options. This refers to strategies where you need to use both stocks and options. Two of the most common strategies are cash secured puts, CSP, and covered calls, CC. To start, cash secured puts or CSP. A CSP is a strategy where you sell an out of the money put and keep enough money on hand to buy the option if you're assigned. The result of a CSP is you will either buy 100 shares at that strike price or you will collect the premium from selling the put option. Here's a simple example to understand CSP better. Let's look at McDonald's and we assume that the current price of McDonald's is $100. To use the CSP on McDonald's, we sell an out of the money put, which we select to be $85 in this case, and let's say we collected a $1 premium for selling this put option. Now at expiration, two things can happen. McDonald's could go below $85 and the 85 put that we sold becomes in the money, so we have to buy 100 shares at $85 each. But in total, we only pay $8,400 as we collected $100 from selling the put. However, in the other scenario, if McDonald's actually stayed above $85 at expiration, the 85 put that you sold is actually worthless and your profit is now $100 from selling the option. So the advantages of using a CSP is it lets you get a better entry price for stocks that you want to own. For example, if you want to own McDonald's, but you find that the current stock price of $100 is too high, you can use a CSP to choose an attractive strike price. If McDonald's closes below that strike price, which we set as $85 in this example, you will buy 100 shares of McDonald's. If it doesn't close below, you get to collect the premium for selling the option. One of the drawbacks of using a CSP is the high capital requirements. As most option contracts are for 100 shares, you need to have sufficient money to purchase 100 shares at the strike price before you're allowed to sell a CSP. Although most brokerages allow you to trade on margin, this means you don't have to keep 100% of the capital needed for the CSP at all times, which is $8,500 in this case. However, it's best to check with your brokerage on their margin requirements. Keep in mind that a CSP is like any other option contract. You can close your position early, but closing a position early means you will not collect the full premium, which is $100 in this case. On to the next strategy, covered calls. A covered call is a strategy where you own at least 100 shares for a stock and you sell an out of the money call for that stock. The result of a covered call is you will either collect the premium from selling the call option or you will sell your 100 shares at the strike price if the call ends up in the money. Using McDonald's again, let's say you own 100 shares of McDonald's and you bought them at $95 each. So this cost you $9,500. The current price of McDonald's is $100 and you sell an out of the money call at $110, collecting $1 in premium. Now, at expiration, two things can happen. If the call is in the money, you sell your 100 shares at $110 each, collecting $11,100 in total, as there's also $100 when you sold the call option. But if the call is out of the money, you collect $100 from selling the call option, and you still keep your 100 shares of McDonald's. You can see that the advantage of using a covered call is you get to earn additional profit on your stocks as you can sell options on them. However, the drawback of using a covered call is you might miss out on large moves. For example, if McDonald's went to $130 in this example, you'll be forced to sell your shares at $110, causing you to miss out on the additional $2,000 gain. Keep in mind, a covered call is like any other option. You can always close it early. So here's a summary for both strategies. For CSP, you're selling an out-of-the-money put, and for CC, you are selling an out-of-the-money call. In both cases, if the option you sold is out of the money, you collect the premium for selling the option. If the option is in the money, for CSP you will own 100 shares, and for CC you will sell 100 shares. Now the drawback of using a CSP is you need to have a large amount of capital on standby, and for CC the drawback is you might miss out on a large move if it happens. Some people think of cash secured puts as a way to enter positions at favorable prices, and covered calls as a way to get more profits on already profitable positions. One other strategy you can look up is called the wheel. The wheel is a strategy where you trade CSPs and CCs. I find it to be a very interesting strategy, and a lot of people like to use the wheel because it is simple and effective. They call it wheeling options. Definitely check out this strategy if you can. Now for this section, we will be looking at options only strategies. These are strategies that only uses option, no stocks. These strategies normally require you to trade multiple calls on puts on the same stock at the same expiration date but at different strike prices. There are many different strategies, but we will focus on one of the most commonly used strategies, which is vertical spreads. Once you understand them, it will not be difficult to learn the others. Vertical spreads. A vertical spread is a strategy where you buy and sell calls or puts on a stock at the same expiration date but with different strike prices. An example of a vertical spread is a bull call spread. So what is a bull call spread and how does it work? In a bull call spread, you will trade two call options. They have the same expiration date but different strike prices. You will buy an at-the-money call and sell an out-of-the-money call. For a bull call spread, you will profit when the stock moves up, so it is a bullish strategy. Remember, for at-the-money or out-of-the-money options, the option closest to the current stock price will cost the most. Those further away will cost less. Here's an example on how to execute a bull call spread. In this example, we will look at Nike. Let's assume the current price for Nike is $150 and we are bullish on Nike. So we believe that the price for Nike will go up in the future. To take advantage of this, we execute a bull call spread. We buy the 160 call for $3.70 and sell the 165 call for $1.70. Both options have the same expiration date. As the 160 call is closest to the current stock price, it is going to cost more. After buying and selling both options, it costs us $2 in the end to open this spread. Take note that the difference in the strike prices for both options is $5. So how do you profit from this spread? Options will always be either in the money or out of the money at expiration. So always think of it that way. Let's say at expiration, Nike is at $170. Both calls are in the money. The 160 call that you bought will be at a $10 profit, and the 165 call you sold will be at a $5 loss. As a result, you will be up $5 overall, but your final profit is $3, as it costs you $2 to open this spread. So when Nike makes a bullish move and your spread is in the money, you profit. Now, if your spread was out of the money, let's say Nike remained at $150 at expiration, both calls will be worthless, and as a result, you will lose $2, which is what you paid to open this spread. So you see, for this example, your max profit is $3 and your max loss is $2. In summary, for bull call spreads, you profit when the stock moves up and the spread is in the money. In this example, it costs you $2 to open the bull call spread. As you have to pay money to open this spread, it is also known as a debit spread. Later on, you will see spreads where you actually receive money at the start when you open them. The max profit and loss of a spread is fixed, and this is true for all vertical spreads. The max profit is based on the difference in strike prices. When Nike is at $170, the spread will show a $5 profit. If Nike is at $200, your spread will still show a $5 profit. For a debit spread, the max loss is the initial cost needed to open the position, which is $2 in this case. So regardless of how much the stock moves up or moves down, your max loss and profit will not change. Here's a breakdown of the name bull call spread. The first word bull refers to the direction this spread has to move for you to be profitable. The second word call refers to the type of option used. Hence, this is why we call this a bull call spread. As we learn about bull call spread, you might be wondering, do we have something else known as a bear call spread? The answer is yes, we do. Let's look at it now. A bear call spread is very similar to a bull call spread. You also buy and sell a call option. However, the difference is you will sell the at-the-money call and buy an out-of-the-money call instead. And you profit if the stock price moves down. As the at-the-money call is closest to the stock price, it will cost more than the out-of-the-money call. So for this spread, overall, you will receive money when you open it. Let's look at an example of how this works. Using Nike again, and assuming that the current price is $150, in a bear call spread, you believe that the stock price will go down in the future. So to profit from this, you sell the 160 call for $2.80 and buy the 165 call for $1.70. Both options have the same expiration date, and the 160 call costs more as it is closer to the current stock price. For this spread, you collect $1.10 after opening it. So, what are the possible scenarios at expiration? If at expiration, let's say Nike is at $170, your spread is in the money, the 160 call that you sold will be at a $10 loss, and the 165 call that you bought will be at a $5 profit. As a result from this, you'll be down $5, but overall, your final loss is $3.90 as you collected $1.10 in premium from opening this spread. So when your spread is in the money, you make a loss. However, if your spread is out of the money, let's say Nike dropped to $140 at expiration, both calls are worthless, and as a result, you will collect the full $1.10, the premium that you receive at the start when you open this spread. So in this example, your max profit is $1.10 and your max loss is $3.90. So in summary, for bear call spreads, you profit when the stock price remains the same or drops and the spread becomes out of the money. In this example, you receive $1.10 to open the bear call spread. As you receive money to open this spread, it is also known as a credit spread. Similar to a debit spread, in a credit spread, the max profit and loss are fixed. For credit spreads, the max profit is the initial amount you receive at the start, which is $1.10. And the max loss is based on the difference in strike prices minus premiums. As the name suggests, a bear call spread is a bearish call spread where you make money if the stock price goes down. Pretty straightforward, right? Here's a summary of the call spreads that we've covered. We've looked at bull call spreads and bear call spreads. For bull call spread, you sell the out-of-the-money call and buy the at-the-money call. For bear call spread, it is the opposite. A bull call spread is a debit spread. You have to pay money to open them, while a bear call spread is a credit spread. You receive money at the start for opening them. An easy way to identify if a spread is a credit or debit spread is to see what you do with the at-the-money option. The at-the-money option will always cost more than the out-the-money option. For a debit spread to be profitable, it has to be in the money, whereas for a credit spread to be profitable, it must not be in the money. For vertical spreads, they always have a max profit and loss amount. This won't change regardless of how much the stock moves up or moves down. So we've seen that vertical spreads can be done with calls. Can you also do them with puts? The answer is yes. It is very similar. Let's take a look. Bear put spreads. This is a vertical spread where you trade puts. You sell the out of the money put and buy the at the money put. As the name suggests, a bear put spread is a bearish play, so you profit when the stock price moves down. Here we have an example of a bear put spread using Visa. Assuming that Visa is currently at $220, you execute a bear put spread by buying the 220 put and selling the 215 put. Both options have the same expiration date, and overall this spread costs you 70 cents, so it is a debit spread. Now at expiration, if Visa is at 210, the spread is in the money and your final profit will be $4.30 after taking into account the cost of the spread. However, if Visa ended up at 230, your spread is out of the money. Both puts are worthless and your final loss is 70 cents, which is how much you paid for this bear put spread. So in summary, bear put spreads are a debit spread as you have to pay money to open them. You profit when the stock moves down and the spread becomes in the money. As with all vertical spreads, it has a max profit and loss amount. As the name suggests, bear refers to the direction the spread must move for you to be profitable, and puts refers to the type of options used. Now onto the last spread we will review today, bull put spreads. A bull put spread is very similar to the other vertical spreads we covered, so I will just do a quick summary. In a bull put spread, you trade two puts. You sell the at the money put and buy the out of the money put. As you sell the at the money put, this is a credit spread, so you profit when the spread expires worthless. As the name suggests, for a bull put spread, you profit when the stock price moves up. Here's a summary of all the vertical spreads we've covered today. We covered bullish and bearish version of call spreads and put spreads. Each vertical spread is made up of a pair of options, and you will buy and sell one of the options depending if you're bullish or bearish on the stock. A spread can either be a credit spread, where you receive money at the start for opening it, or a debit spread, where you pay money to open the spread. Look at what you do for the at the money option to identify if it's a credit or debit spread. For debit spreads to be profitable, they need to move in the money, whereas for a credit spread, they need to end up out of the money for you to be profitable. Vertical spreads are just one of the many option-only strategies that you can use. There are numerous examples, but I'm just going to briefly go through some of the more common strategies. One such strategy is known as a straddle. In a straddle, you buy one call and one put. Both options are at the same strike price, at the money, and have the same expiration date. The idea behind a straddle is you expect a large move or increase in volatility to happen, but you're not sure of the direction. An example of a straddle: if Apple stock is at $150, you buy 150 call and buy 150 put. Let's say it costs you $7 in total for both options that you bought. If Apple moves more than $7 before expiration, you profit. So if Apple move up to $160, you make a $3 profit. And if Apple say drop to $130, you make a $13 profit. You profit as long as a large move happens, regardless of the direction of the move. Another strategy is called a strangle, which is very similar to a straddle. You also buy one call option and one put option. The difference between a straddle and a strangle is the call and put option you buy are both out of the money. Using Apple as an example again, instead of buying the 150 call and put, in a strangle, you might buy the 145 put and 155 call. And let's say both options might cost you $4 in total for opening them. So a strangle is cheaper to open, but the stock needs to make a larger move for you to be profitable. The last strategy I want to mention is called an Iron Condor. There are 4 options in an Iron Condor. And an Iron Condor is similar to a Strangle. However, instead of buying an out of the money call and put option, you would sell an out of the money call and put option. Then you will buy a further out of the money call and put option to plug in the ends. Each end of an Iron Condor is a vertical spread on its own. You can also think of an Iron Condor as 2 separate vertical spreads, above and below the current stock price. An Iron Condor is also a credit strategy, whereas both Straddle and Strangle are debit strategies. Similar to what we learned earlier, for credit strategies, you want them to expire out of the money. So you use an Iron Condor when you don't expect a large move to happen, and when the stock price is relatively stable in a range. To summarize today's video, we've covered 2 different types of strategies. We've looked at stocks plus option strategies like cash secured puts and covered calls. We also looked at pure option strategies like vertical spreads, and we briefly went through Straddle, Strangle, and Iron Condor. The last point that I want to share on option is, always remember, when you trade options, you need to be right on 3 aspects. You need to know the direction of the move, if it's bullish or bearish, the size of the move, how much the stock is going to move, and the timing of the move, when the move will happen. With that, I would like to conclude this beginner option series, and I hope this has been useful for you. I may choose to do an advanced option series in the future, but let me know your feedback. Thank you for watching, and all the best in your investing journey. As always, feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to reply. If you found the video useful, it would be awesome if you could like the video and share it. If you have the means and would like to support the channel, I have a link to my PayPal below. Any donations would be very much appreciated. Thank you.